Hey, hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Alvaro, although I go by the name of HormigaZ over here in YouTube. And well, basically I wanna compensate you guys that watch me in English for basically having used a pretty boring route for the last motovlog. So on this occasion we're gonna repeat the same route that I did on the Spanish vlog and actually a little bit longer. So let's just jump on the bike and start talking over there, okay?
Alright guys, we're here already. Let's get moving. It's pretty hot today and pretty sunny. Bike says 23 degrees Celsius, but actually usually it's a little bit less because it seems like the radiator manages to get some of the heat all the way to the above of the temp, and yeah, it's a little bit optimistic. I think I said it on another video, but it was the Spanish one. So, as I said, the plan today is basically to repeat one of the routes, the route that I did on my first Spanish motovlog, which is a pretty lovely ride between my hometown and a few other ones that are close by. There's a lot of nice twisties. The only problem is that the speed limit is pretty low. I'm gonna try to adhere to it as best as I can, because I don't want to get in trouble too much or too early with this motovlog channel. So yeah, this is a little bit of a struggle that I have, being honest with you, and I would like to openly discuss it. Because over here in Spain, many people that do motovlogs basically take a piece of black tape and place it over there on the speedo, so that no one can see what their speed is. I'm not too much of a fan of doing that. If they really want to get you, there is means to measure your speed with the images. I mean, yeah, sometimes I do push it, otherwise I would have probably not gotten this bike. But at the same time, with the speed limits being so low around here, it's so extremely easy to basically commit a crime just by speeding. Luckily, what we do have is a really nice scenery that I believe makes up a little bit for the lack of speed. As I said, I'm struggling a little bit with myself with this topic. I'm not gonna say right now I will do this or that and I will stick to it, because maybe I change my mind and I don't want to be a hypocrite. So I'll try my best to adhere to the laws, but at the same time, I'm a human. I'm a human, goddammit! My life has value! I really love this road. There's a little bit too much of cyclists, let's be honest, and sometimes people invade your side a little bit because it's pretty narrow. It doesn't have a middle line, so people get a little bit confused as to what is their lane and what isn't. And also the turns themselves are pretty challenging, so some people have problems with that, because it's kind of pointless to just be talking about random stuff during the vlog. I have thought about talking a little bit about the things that I don't like from this bike, which is probably a topic that hasn't been covered all that much. Well, I'm gonna do it, but keep in mind, guys, that this is a completely unscripted video. There's not gonna be like a particular order to things, because they'll probably just keep coming to my head as I remember them. Probably the order is kind of meaning in the sense that I'll probably be able to remember the things that annoy me the most fastest, I guess. I want to start by the first thing that really annoys me from this bike, and it's a little bit of a concept problem and perception about the bike. What do I mean? Well, Aprilia, when they released this bike, they were kind of adamant on repeating that this is not a bike made for the track, that it is a bike made for the road. And there certainly is a lot of truth in that statement, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, with my time on the bike, I think I have around 2,000 miles or 3,000 kilometers, a little bit more than that. I think I'm able to talk with my own experience, and I call that a little bit of bullshit. Why do I say that? Well, it's basically because I don't see what is stopping this bike from being a great track bike, other than Aprilia kind of half doing the job to make it a proper track weapon. Yes, I know this is not like a super high-end bike. I wouldn't call it a budget bike like many reviewers are doing, because I think that's kind of yeah, inaccurate, let's just say. There's a few things on the bike that they could have just simply done better without making it all that much more expensive. I'm gonna start with the suspension. This bike has adjustability on the suspension. That has to be said from the beginning. But the adjustability from the suspension is not as much as I would have liked it to be. There is preload and there is rebound adjustment. Rebound does affect a little bit compression as well. It's not a fully independent system that will allow you to control things completely split, so there's always going to be a little bit of stepping from one to the other one. But theoretically, the only adjustment that you have in terms of hydraulic adjustment is rebound. In practical terms, I have to say that doesn't really make a huge difference, because the way I have set up the bike, it feels really solid, really track capable. Let me just find a little bit of a straight so I can show you how stiff this bike is at the moment. Yeah, over here for example. Okay, so I'm at 250 pounds, 6 feet 3 inches guy. Okay, I'm gonna jump with all of my strength on the bike and you watch the compression. Have you seen that? No rebound at all. Beautiful way of sustaining my weight and the inertia. And honestly, I was expecting worse from the reviews, but still, Aprilia, seriously, how hard was it to just give us compression adjustment? Why you do this to us? You know, people who get an Aprilia get it because they're so adamant about handling that they're willing to go through many things, like paying more for the same amount that maybe on another brand, dealing with maybe a poor dealership network, with a potentially bad reliability according to the fame of the brand. And you go through all of that simply because your bikes are so good and they handle so well. Don't do this to us, guys. Just don't do this to us. I'm gonna wait over here for this guy to find a little bit of distance. Why would you just not give us compression? Guys, really? Anyway, that's it for the suspension. I wanna go into other topics. One of them is the clutch. So this is one of the reasons why I wanted to stop, because I want to show it to you. I want to make sure that you can actually see it. Look at the clutch. This distance over here and this shape that it's got makes many people not being able to reach properly the clutch. That is something that is kind of annoying, Oh my god, that car sounded horribly. And if you watch the way I put my hands on the bike, you'll see that I kind of tend to put this hand closer to this big thing on the left, because I try to come here to be able to grab the clutch better. When I do that, you know what happens also? I click on the high beam, so it's doubly annoying. Okay, we have a little bit of room ahead, let's go again. But you maybe will be saying, but Hormi, this bike has Quickshifter, why don't you just ignore it? And well, the Quickshifter is another part that I want to talk a little bit about. I don't have all that much experience with Quickshifters, but this Quickshifter seems to have a few issues. So let's try to use it a little bit. Right now it downshifted, and you can feel, especially at low speed, that it knocks a little bit on the transmission. It's not perfectly smooth, and that's a disappointment because the Quickshifters from Aprilia are usually great, or at least that's what I'm told. I've seen it on videos and I believe it because they feel extremely smooth, but it's not the case on this one. Especially, you see, on first gear, sometimes you need to be careful, especially if you're on hard braking, because the Quickshifter might produce a little bit of chattering on the rear wheel if you're heavy braking. Under heavy braking. Maybe that has a little bit to do with my suspension setup, which is, as I said, pretty stiff, and that helps to have this kind of problem. What about the upshifts then? Let's try it. Again, especially at low revolutions, it kind of kicks the bike too much. And that's a little bit of a problem because, as Aprilia said themselves, this is a road bike, so I would expect the bike's Quickshifter to work very well on the road. But if you're like just cruising around and doing normal commuting, you need to keep the bike a little bit high on the revs to have it work properly. Today is a festive day and there's quite a lot of traffic, guys. I'm sorry about that. I'm gonna try to not be on the back of a car for the whole vlog. But overtaking is a little bit complicated. Well, not actually. I just don't want to overtake speeding. So well, moving on. Another thing that kind of annoys me strongly about this bike is that it runs pretty hot. This is not something particularly special from the bikes that belong to the Euro 5 categorization. Doesn't matter if we are talking or the USA, because they pretty much share the same kind of configuration. I think it might be exactly the same actually. So the bike tends to run pretty hot. It has an auxiliary fan powered by the battery, but even that in fact is kind of only coming on when the bike is already pretty hot. It doesn't tell you exactly the temp on the bike, but if you use the app from Aprilia with the telemetry, then you can check the engine temp, and basically the fan only comes on at around 105 degrees. That's happening when you get the fourth bar over here on the temp indicator. And honestly, I wonder how the bike is gonna do over here in Spain. In summer it's not all that strange to have 35, even 40 degrees Celsius, or even a little bit more. Is the bike gonna be like unusable with this kind of temp? I wonder to myself. I guess I'll discover pretty soon. I will use this opportunity now that I'm talking about this particular topic to say that there is something about the bike that I really, really love, and it is that the guys at Aprilia have designed the fairing in such a way that it routes a little bit of the, well, actually quite a lot of the heat of the bike is pushed away from you by the fairing of the bike, and you never actually get to feel it. This can be good on a hot climate, but it can also be a good thing on a hot weather, but it can also be a pretty bad thing on a cold weather, because, you know, many of us rely on that engine temp to feel properly. Anyway, get that view for a second. Amazing, right? Seriously, I'm so in love with these roads. I hope that I can actually convey to you guys the pleasure that this kind of place gives me. Oh my god, look at this pond. I have to come here one day and spend some time over there doing some picnic. Moving on with the things that I don't like, and this is a complaint that I've seen pretty much everywhere, let's be honest. It's those things over here. They are not in a bad place. They are not in a bad place. They are not ugly also, which is something that I appreciate. But they vibrate quite a lot when you are pushing the bike. And this is also a thing that gets, I believe, slightly worse on the USA and Canada models, because those have the turn signals integrated into them. Obviously, if you add weight to the mirrors and they are already vibrating, it's gonna only increase with that weight because it increases the forces that are involved. Look at that castle, boys. I've never been closer to it. I think you can use this exit over there to go there, but I don't really have the bike to do. I don't really have the bike to do an off-road adventure. But I promise you, we'll come here. We'll come with a proper setting, and we'll do it. This road is slightly faster, so what I think I'm gonna do is close my helmet and decrease slightly the risk of having too much wind on the microphone. I'm gonna also talk a little bit softer, because I do know that when I close it, then the way it records changes quite a bit as well. Like, honestly, I can feel the difference on my own ears of the sound. I've just used the Quickshifter and it worked pretty well over here. Seems like the higher the gearing, the better it works, which is not a surprise anyway, because the higher the gearing, the more force it takes to create this kind of pump that you feel when you're shifting. So yeah, I want to say a little bit a little thing about the mirrors. I'm trying to work on something that reduces a little bit the vibrations on this, something that you can just bolt on or put in some way. But I'm still on early development and testing, and that takes a lot of time that I don't really have. I think that moving on to the next topic that I might not like all that much on this bike, and related to the vibrations on the mirrors, is the engine itself maybe being a little bit rumbly. I mean, I knew this was possible. This is a twin cylinder engine, and those are not particularly famous for being smooth. To be honest, it's not bad. It was bad when I first took delivery of the bike and I didn't do the engine braking. You could noticeably feel like if you accelerated even slightly at low rev, at low RPMs, you would get like excessive vibration. And I try to say this every time somebody comments on the vibrations on the bike while in the braking period. It is definitely something that you want to avoid. At this day, the bike doesn't really vibrate all that much, but I can feel it on the foot pegs. I can slightly feel it on my hand as well. It's not annoying. It's not the kind of vibration that puts you off riding. I think it actually adds to the excitement. But if you buy the bike with the mind of it being like a commuter, like some sort of scooter that brings you to places, then maybe it might annoy you slightly. I don't know. It's hard for me to judge what other people will feel, but I guess it could be annoying to some. I really need to think about the speed limits thing. It really gets ridiculous from time to time. This road is definitely faster though, so anyway, I'm trying to figure out more things that I dislike about the bike. But I think I'm starting to run out of things to criticize. I said it in the past, I really love this bike and I really think it's great. Now that I think about it though, I think at least there's one more thing that I can mention. And it is the GPS integration. This bike has a pretty nice TFT display, and it does have GPS integration with the Bluetooth MIA system from Aprilia. Works okay, but it's a kind of route book, not sure if that's how you say that in English, indication. So you don't get the typical map with the route that you have to follow displayed on that map. Instead, what gives you is indications, like for example turning on the next exit in 500 meters, etc. Well, at least at the beginning, it is easy to get lost a little bit. At least for me. The good thing about this stuff is, honestly, Aprilia is always capable of bringing an update and changing it. Does that mean that they will do it? No, not at all. But at least it's a possibility. I don't expect at all for Aprilia to fix the issue with the suspension, for example. That is something that is definitely not going to change. But now that I think about it, maybe the Quickshifter stuff can also be adjusted quite a bit and changed. Got to my mind another thing that really annoys me from Aprilia. This is not so much about the bike, maybe it's more about Aprilia as a brand, but since this is an Aprilia bike, well, it affects it as well. Basically, this bike was advertised from very early with a seat cowling on the back that looked really nice. I can tell you of at least 10 or 15 guys on the Facebook group in which I am owners of the bike, which really desperately want to get the cowling. And Aprilia is being a little bit of an asshole, and it is not providing it to us. We have no clue really of when it's going to be available. I've been personally talking with Aprilia, like asking them what's going on with them, and they didn't even know, to be honest. That I do believe that they did not know what's up with it. But still, as a customer, I would also like to have that cowling. I don't understand why Aprilia thought that advertising the bike with that cowling and then not having it even available to buy was a good idea. I'm gonna stop by the side of the road for a little second because I want to check that everything is still going strong. Might also do some pics. Okay guys, it's been a great thing that I've stopped for a while because I was just about to run out of battery on the GoPro. And I also charged a little bit the GoPro, so now we should be all good to finish the route while talking a little bit without running into any kind of issues. So, we were talking before about the things that I don't like about the bike, and I was already starting to run out of topics. But there's one of them that I've reserved for the very end, because it's kind of a subjective thing. Still bothers me, still annoys me, and I don't like it. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk about it. Kind of relates a little bit to the first topic that I talked about, but not necessarily like super directly. I don't know. The thing is, this bike, because of its concept, its raised handlebars, and Aprilia saying that it's a road bike, probably has a little bit of an issue of perception from people who think this is something more akin to a Kawasaki 650, for example, than, I don't know, something like an R6. And while there is some truth to it, in the sense that this bike is twin cylinder, for example, it's got a little bit of a raise on the clips, but I'm gonna be clear about that. This is not one thing that I don't like. I don't even think it's that high, but some people really hate it. Yeah, some people really think that this bike is, I don't know, some kind of very soft sports bike, and I have to say that honestly, especially if you set it up properly, it really isn't. It's only a slightly more comfortable super sport bike, to be honest, and slightly less powerful. I mean, this is something subjective totally, and although I think it's totally okay if somebody thinks differently. But yeah, it kind of bothers me a little bit because you always get this kind of comment from time to time saying that, and I really don't agree with it now, like, it's not the kind of thing like something is true and so it hurts you, but I really do not think this is the case over here. I'm honestly looking forward to the moment that this bike is going to be able to enter some kind of races and competitions and be able to prove itself. But honestly, I don't think that's going to change the mind of people too much anyway, like even if it dominated everything, because people make their minds and the rest doesn't really matter to them. It is annoying, something you have to keep in mind if you buy this bike. You'll have to go through a few comments like this from time to time. It's just the way things are, I guess. I'm just gonna shut up and ride. This last bit of this route is really probably the best part that I have immediately around, because it has some twisties, but it also allows you to get some speed. Not that I am doing it at the moment, but it does allow for it. Flowers on the road. God damn it. Oof. Dude, that bump is murderous. If you come on here and with the wrong speed and you take that, you are done. Have arrived at the end of our route. Gonna keep filming until I arrive to that area close to the highway and the beach, so you get a few takes on this beautiful place. We're gonna wrap it up here, guys. I hope you enjoyed with me a bit. Next week you'll get a new motovlog. As I said, boys, gonna use this to wrap it up. Thank you very much for spending some of your time with me, and see you on the next one. Bye bye.